Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation called Bred Winners. So I was talking to my friend who mentioned he was watching the show House of the Dragon. He explained that there are different warring factions or houses that were able to breed dragons to help them in warfare. And I thought, I wonder how this relates to any of real life or human history. Obviously, you can think of examples of animals like horses or Hannibal's elephants that are used in war. Most of the examples you'll think of in modern history, like 20th century warfare, the iteration is probably more mechanical and chemical engineering rather than biological and genetic engineering. But this presentation will look at some case studies for competitions, games, anything where breeding techniques were used to win these sorts of things, hence the name Bred Winners. So first off, we have the pit bull. So pit bulls encompass a wide range of dog breeds, but I think the most common one, the most characteristic one, is the American Pit Bull Terrier. And the American Pit Bull Terrier descends from the Bull and Terrier, and the Bull and Terrier was purposefully bred from the Old English Bulldog and the English White Terrier, who are both now extinct. Now, the Old English Bulldog is not to be confused with the English Bulldog, which still exists today and was bred as a companion dog, which means they're bred more as a pet. Um, and also not to be confused with the old, with an E at the end, OLDE, English Bulldog, BULLDOGGE, which apparently is a fairly modern project to try to recreate the Old English Bulldog. So that's in the 2010s. But this OG Old English Bulldog is extinct, as well as the English White Terrier, who's also extinct. Now, the Old English Bulldog is extremely ferocious, aggressive, and muscular, and the English White Terrier is extremely fast, lithe, agile, persevering, and game. Game is means having the quality of gameness, which kind of means persevering, not giving up, even if it's kind of a lost fight. Terriers, by the way, were dogs that chase or hunt vermin, so I assume that's mostly rats. In any case, breeding these two breeds together was for the purpose of creating the bull and terrier for bull baiting and bear baiting, which is, to my understanding, essentially having a bunch of dogs fight a bull or fight a bear, and I suppose betting on it. And I think probably these dogs would also be used in dog fights and the like. But yeah, to combine those traits, obviously you have a very competitive and aggressive dog. And in the modern era, we have the descendant, which is the pit bull, which is a very controversial dog. If you look at like dog attack headlines, you're gonna have a high likelihood, a high probability of that being from a pit bull. Pit bulls are banned in a lot of places across the world, or maybe there's forced sterilization or forced muzzle. Um, and yeah, that's kind of how the you can kind of see the results of the genetic engineering, the breeding from back then in the pit bull, the aggressive attacks that exist today. Next, we have Secretariat. Secretariat is the most famous racehorse, um, the winner of the Triple Crown, which, to my understanding, is three different races, but Secretariat won them all, so uh, he's known as the winner of the Triple Crown, and he still holds the records to this day. The story of Secretariat, well, first of all, you can watch his movie, which I did not, but that's probably a good resource to go to if you want to learn more about him. So yeah, the Secretariat, also known as Big Red, is a chestnut coal thoroughbred. Thoroughbreds are the most common racehorse, and actually this Triple Crown is only for thoroughbreds that are 3 years old. So Secretariat was bred from his dad, Bold Ruler, and his mom, Something Royal. And the story, which I think is told in the movie, is that Secretariat's owner was involved in a coin flip with another party, and the winner of the coin flip was going to get to choose which horse to take. And the Secretariat's owner wanted Secretariat because she saw that Something Royal, the mom, had a staminous bloodline. So they're both racehorses, but the mom's bloodline had a lot of horses with good stamina. And I think maybe the obvious pick was the other horse named Hasty Matilda, who was younger. So the other guy who won the coin flip unfortunately chose based on the youth of Hassan Metalda, or I don't know, I don't want to uh, say exactly what made him choose the other foal, but he chose the other foal, and it was the wrong choice because Secretariat's owner ended up with Secretariat, who was the goat of who became the goat of racehorses. Finally, we have Yao Ming. Yao Ming was a or was a Chinese basketball player who played in the NBA. Stood at 7'6", was a Hall of Famer, averaged 19 points per game over the regular season across his 9 or 10 seasons in the NBA. And yes, according to the book Operation Yao Ming by Brooke Larmer, by some journalist, Yao Ming was part of a program um, developed by the CCP, by the Chinese government, who had an eye on his parents and his genetics and his ancestry for a while before he was born, obviously, and match made his dad and mom, Yao Zhiyuan and Fang Fengdi, to have him and put him in basketball programs at a young age, possibly pumped him full of hormones. Yao Ming did kind of weakly denied this in an AMA when someone asked him, like, is this stuff true? And he just said, no, I just liked playing basketball. But that's kind of all he said. And I don't think the CCP has commented on it, and so on. Yeah, I think it's a little bit up for discussion or debate how much of this was like if we did define breeding. Like obviously there's basketball programs around the world like after you're born, but if we look at the breeding from before, apparently they had an eye on his dad because his Yao Ming's grandfather was tall and his dad was also tall, and both his dad and mom played basketball, and they were kind of match made and encouraged to have a child. Anyway, Yao Ming seems like a pretty chill guy, and according to his Instagram, owns a winery now. That's about it I have for Bread Winners. Thanks for listening and hope you learned something.